Brace the rudders! Raise the sails! Raise the sails!
Captain, an unidentified ship is approaching. Over.
Roger. Wait, is that an enterprise sales solution?
Reach sales professionals, not professional sailors. With LinkedIn ads, you can target the right people by industry, job title, and more. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started today at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Are your business expenses playing hide and seek? With Uber for Business, the small spends that slip through the cracks, like rides and meals, go right where you need them. Because it integrates with leading expense platforms, you can say goodbye to surprise costs, missing dollars, or chasing receipts. Everything's track downable. Uber for Business. Make small steps that make a big impact. Learn more at uber.com/small steps.
Well, you know, Judge, I give you credit for going to school, and I figure that you should know what you're doing.
This is the plaintiff, Norma Gordon. She says the defendant was her beautician who sewed her weave in. She made sure to tell her each time she was allergic to glue and reminded her not to use any. Well, sure enough, she used it on her scalp. She had a reaction which caused her a great deal of pain, and her hair fell out, causing her to have to go out in public with her head wrapped up like a mummy. She's suing the irresponsible woman for $300 for pain and suffering. This is the defendant, Loretta Taylor. She says she always uses glue to apply weaves. That's all she uses and all she's ever used. She is shocked the plaintiff's suing her because she never once mentioned she was allergic to it. The woman must have torn the weave out herself, causing her own pain and suffering. Oh, her money? Ha, ha, ha. She's accused of being UnbeWEAVEable.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
What you are about to witness is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in civil court. Both parties have agreed to drop their claims and have their cases settled here before Judge Marilyn Millian in our forum, the People's Court.
Be seated and come to order, please. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Norma Gordon?
Yes.
You are suing Loretta Taylor for $300 that you feel she owes you for pain and suffering and damage that she did to your hair using glue when she put in weaves. Tell me what's going on.
Yes. On last year, around June the 15th, I approached Miss Taylor to apply weave in my hair. But the first thing I told her, do not use glue. Glue as in this, because it will take my hair out. And she did. And
But didn't you see her doing it?
yes.
But then why didn't you tell her? No,
I'm sorry. No, I didn't see her do it. I
But
just
she's doing it
assumed
right
that
there. Isn't there a mirror in front of you?
No, I can't see nothing. I can't see when she's applying my hair.
Where do you work?
I work in Chicago.
But in a salon?
Yes, in a
Is there
salon.
a mirror in front of you?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
The mirror is a little high. I'd have to stand to watch what she's doing. And plus the fact that I go to her like every 2 weeks, and the shampoo young lady, when she had asked Loretta, what did she want her to do to my hair that particular day? And Loretta told her that she was going to change the style, you know.
And when I asked you, didn't you notice while she was doing it, because the glue's in one hand, in order for her to do the weave with glue, the glue is in one hand, and I assume you put it down, and you pick it up, and you put it down, and you pick it up, and how do you not see it? And your answer is, I can't see the mirror, it's too high?
The mirror is too high. The mirror is up, it's above me. I'm sitting in a chair. I'd have to actually stand up to watch to see what she's doing.
The point of the mirror is that the person sitting in the chair can see themselves. That's the kind
Right, but you usually look in the mirror after they're through.
So the mirror's there, you're just not looking at it.
Right. The mirror.
So what ends up happening when she uses the glue?
Oh, okay. Well, after she proceeded to put the glue in, eventually it took my hair out, and I have pictures to show.
Let me see the pictures. Wait, how did you expect the weaves to stay there? You wanted her to do what instead?
Normally, if you have hair on your head and you put the glue on the hair, it's going to stay on there. But
Okay.
if the hair is bald, it's not going to stay.
Okay.
You know
So
what I
you
mean?
told her to use what instead of glue?
I told her to sew it in instead of gluing it in.
And sewing it in, how does one sew it in?
Sewing is done with a needle and a thread, and you have to braid the hair prior to that, and you're sewing the hair onto the braid.
Right. So wouldn't you know that somebody's sewing if you expect somebody to be sewing?
Yeah, I knew that. I knew when she sewed my hair.
Okay, but so you knew she wasn't sewing that
She
day.
wasn't sewing it.
So why don't you just stop her and say, what are you doing?
Well, you know, Judge, I give you credit for going to school, and I figure that you should know what you're doing. You're a professional person. And if I'm telling you, don't put the glue in my hair, and you're doing it anyway, so then what?
So when did your hair fall out?
She did this application around January the 24th.
Okay, there's no weaves in any of these pictures,
No,
right?
because it's all out.
How did you get the weaves out?
My daughter, she's a cosmetologist.
Okay, so why weren't you going to your daughter to begin with? Go ahead, come on up.
I work a job. I don't do that.
Oh, you just kind of do it on the side?
Yeah.
But you took the weaves out?
Yes, I did.
When did you take the weaves out?
Could I go back a little bit?
Yeah.
Or because my mom is nervous.
It's all right.
Initially, when she went to get her hair done, she wanted weave because the glue is no good for her. So
why not?
Because it tends to thin her hair.
Okay. And you told her
to make sure she don't use any glue. She has to have a sew-in. And her response to me was, no problem.
Did this conversation happen?
No, ma'am.
Ever?
Ever.
Do you know her?
Yes, I know Sharice. I haven't seen Sharice in years. This is my first time seeing her in so long.
What happened here?
Well, Your Honor, I've been knowing Miss Norma for years, and she's like a friend, grandmother to me, and she's been coming to me for a long time, and therefore, this particular day, her appointment was on January 23rd of 2013. She came to me and got her service. Sharice was not with her. Miss Norma was by herself. My mirror sits right in front of you, and I have one on the side. So therefore, if I'm giving you service that you're not satisfied, I'm definitely going to make it happen to make you happy. My job is to make you happy, not to take your money.
Have you ever sewn in a weave for her?
I sewn in, yes, I have. And I only do that one day a week. That's only on Tuesdays. I work Wednesday through Saturday doing regular glue hair. I only can do it on Tuesdays. I cannot complete a sewing because it's so time consuming. It takes like 4 or 5 hours for me to do a sewing.
So did she walk in that day with an appointment?
She had an appointment approximately at 12:30, January 23rd.
And when she comes in, does she tell you I want it sewn in?
No. Miss Norma knows that I only do sewings only on Tuesdays. Her appointment was to get a glue. And that's exactly what she got done.
How often does she get sewn in versus glue?
The last 4 times she came back to me, it's been glue.
No sew-ins in the last 4 times?
No sew-in.
And you didn't see her, she didn't come in and demand that it be a sew-in?
Definitely not. Definitely not. And I have a schedule that I keep with my appointments in, and it's very well documented what I'm doing and what day I'm doing it on. And she's scheduled for January 23rd at 12:30 for a glue, not a sew-in.
Okay, my question to you is, she's obviously got very damaged hair.
Okay.
And so should you be doing a glue-in on her? Maybe you should reject her as a customer and say, I can't do it for you.
Well, basically, I'm into hair care, and before I even make a dime, health care is more important to me than anything, first and foremost. And I've always, and I still do, educate my clients in how to take care of their hair. I'm a professional licensed hairstylist, and my job and my duty is to make my clients happy. I don't take from them and take their hair out. I wear the product myself, and I have a hair full of hair, and it's definitely, people coming to me, it's gonna reap the same benefits. So definitely.
Do you glue yours?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Can I ask a question? When you say they start to fall out, or when do you decide that there's a problem?
I noticed the problem when I got home that next day.
What was the problem?
I took my finger and I did this, and I told my daughter, because my daughter was living with me. I said, Sheree, my hair is bald.
Were chunks of your hair falling out on your hand?
It was coming out, and I had not noticed it because, number one.
Okay, so do you have pictures or the hair or something to show me that your hair was falling out? Because what you're showing me is I'm seeing a lot of hair missing, but there's a reason you were coming in for the weave. I don't know. Let me show you this. and you tell me, is that the head that you worked on? Go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Definitely not.
No.
And before Miss Norma got serviced that day, Miss Norma seen her hair before and after it was serviced. My mirror stately showed she stood.
Okay, I don't need to know about the mirror anymore. So now you end up telling your daughter, I think she used glue, and then you end up taking it out. How did you take it out?
What I noticed was her hairstyle had changed. And I said, Mom, well, you did something different to your hair. She said, yeah, she put just a true tract in here. I said, she didn't glue it, did she? She said, oh, yeah, she glued it. She said, don't worry, that it's going to be fine. I said, Mom, you can't do that. So
it sounds like your mother knew what service she got.
I was upset because,
but I understand that your mother's a grown woman who is going to make her own appointments.
She knows nothing about
this. And goes to do stuff, I understand. Right. But she only has a lawsuit if she tells somebody, I want X, and somebody provided Y, and she has no clue why it's being provided. You're telling me, just like I suspected, that she knows darn well that it was glue the day before.
But if she's saying that she's telling her that she's going to protect her hair, and she puts something on to protect it. How did you remove the glue?
How did you remove the
I washed it several times, several days, and then I used glue removal. Okay. It's a glue removal. It's similar to this brand here. I think it's the same, almost the same brand as this. It's a glue removal.
All right, and tell me about how a person removes extensions that are glued on.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Harvey Levin here. Are you buying this plaintiff's story that you couldn't see the mirror?
No.
Why?
It's stupid.
Okay, well, it is stupid. Is it possible that you could go to a salon and you couldn't see the mirror?
I would not stay if I couldn't see the mirror.
Absolutely, especially if you're getting something done important.
Right.
And then finally, what are the other signs that glue is being applied, even if you can't see it?
She might have been able to smell it somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, she might have been able to smell it. Do you believe there was glue in her hair?
I think so. I don't think so, actually.
Yeah, I think the second answer was the best, going inside the courtroom.
Well, first of all, Miss Norma always get glue on her hair. She's never removed glue on her own. I always did it for her, and that's why she was able to see before and after her service. That way, the growth of her hair. She had enough hair to not even have a track in her hair. That's how good her hair was doing. And this is Bond Remover Shampoo. What you do is wash it and it comes right out. Prior to that, this is Bond Remover. This product works on its own. It's no pulling, no tugging, because it states on the back of it what and how to handle your weave when it's in. And it states what not to do. And it clearly states on the back. So therefore, if she did do it, why would you wash it several times? Because once with this, it would have been out. She wouldn't have had no problem. And I have pictures of some of many clients that get the service done and how it's put in and how it's taken out. If you would like to see.
I don't need to see that. I don't need to see that. I watched Chris Rock's documentary because I have a lot of these cases and I want to understand. I really do. I want to understand how this works.
Absolutely.
But you know, this really isn't about that. I don't need to know the intricacies we're done of this process more than I need to understand just contracts law. And what we have is every time you go to the salon, you have a contract. And so you're going to do X, I'm going to pay you Y. And she walks in, and you are telling me, daughter, that she was never supposed to use glue. My mother doesn't do well with glue. She was always supposed to weave it in, but your mom made an appointment on a day that's a glue day. On top of that, I don't believe that your mom can't see the mirror. I just don't believe that. The purpose of the mirror is so that people can see it. On top of that, I don't believe that when you spend how many hours there?
4 or 5 hours.
4 or 5 hours, you don't see that there's glue being used. On top of that, you tell me that your mom comes home and says, she glued my hair. She knows there's glue being used. So how can you get your money back? And when was the service that we're talking about? January 23rd? These pictures are developed April 14th. Do you have any pictures that you took in January? Did you take them with a cell phone, maybe? And so they're on your cell phone, date stamp January?
I don't know exactly when I took them with the cell phone, but I did take them with the cell phone.
If you took them January 26th, then we're talking.
Judge, may I say this?
Yeah.
I also kept calling her. After this particular thing happened, I said, well, let me call her.
After what happened?
My hair started coming out.
Okay, you call her and she wasn't returning your calls?
No.
Did you not return her calls?
I have my cell phone with me. I have two incoming calls. One January 23rd, the day of her appointment, just to allow me to know that she's running late. And the second one is March 1st to just inquire, instead of her calling me to allow me to understand that she has a problem or allow me to rectify, possibly give her money back and just make her happy. She didn't do none of that. it. Her call to me on March 1st was to ask me how am I doing, how was my vacation, and her concern was, did you get some court papers? And that was pretty much it. Oh, that's all I wanted to know, and hung up.
Okay.
And I have the incoming calls.
Did
Right?
you find your pictures, yes or no?
Yes.
Let
I
me
also
see.
called her, and she did not return any of my calls either.
And when she was gluing it in, usually I've seen her put a stocking cap or something on my hair first, but she didn't do that.
You have 144 pictures in your phone, and this is in the last 20 of them. So I don't think these were done in January.
No, that's probably why, because I switched phones.
Okay, well,
And
I don't know what that means. I switched phones. The photos are in this phone, so they were taken with this phone. Based on what I've heard, I cannot find in favor of the plaintiff. I find in favor of the defendant in this case.
And so with that, the plaintiff leaves the courtroom here on the losing end of the case here. Come on in here next to me, ma'am. And what are you thinking here as a result of losing this verdict?
Well, I don't think it's really fair, but, you know, the judge is the last word.
How could this have happened? How could this happen?
It happened.
After going there so many times?
Yeah, and I've gone to her quite a few years, but it's just the point that if I tell you don't do something, you do it. Well, this is the results.
Well, you're looking pretty good right now.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, you're welcome. All right. Follow that young man that way, all right? You're welcome. All right. Thank you. All right, step on in here. Come on in here. Stand right next to her, please. Step back a little bit. All right, so what do you think of the outcome here?
I'm very well satisfied with the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And I serviced her the best to my knowledge, and I did what she asked me to do. And if she still wanted to come back in the future, I'll take care of her.
Yeah, well, do you think you'll ever see her again in your shop?
No, I won't.
Was this worth it to lose a customer?
It was not worth it because all she had to do was call me and allow me to understand the problem so I can rectify it, not just serve me, not give me knowledge of what's going on. You know, when something going on, just let me know what's going on so I can help rectify the problem. That's all.
All right, I will. Harvey?
Here's the guiding light. If you ever suffer any kind of a physical injury, take pictures immediately. Just trust me here. And that will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.
What does every USAA member have in common? Family. We're one big family who supports the military community and their eligible families. And if you, your parent, or spouse served, you could join our family and save big on auto insurance. Visit USAA.com/join today to check your eligibility. Membership eligibility and product restrictions apply and are subject to change. USAA means United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas.
Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for this day.
This is the plaintiff, Keith Kimker. He says he did home repairs for the defendant after Hurricane Sandy, and the woman is stiffing him because she refuses to pay up. It's not like she doesn't have the money or anything because she owns a bus company and is filthy rich. So it has nothing to do with money. It's just her mentality, and it's disgusting. He's suing for $2,500 for parts he paid for, plus labor. This is the defendant, Mallory Bennett. She says the plaintiff is a friend of her sister-in-law's, and quite frankly, the guy's charging her for doing nothing. He tried to fix her hot water heater and boiler after the superstorm, but he never could get the thing working again. Next thing she knows, she gets a big fat bill for his labor and expects to be paid? Ha! She's accused of getting a guy steamed.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket, the plaintiff says the nerve of this defendant, a well-to-do lady who owns a bus company who stiffed him after doing repairs after Hurricane Sandy. But the defendant says the plaintiff actually did nothing. It's the case of busted.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Keith Kimker, you are suing Mallory Bennett for $2,500 that you say she owes you for repairing her boiler and water heater during right after Hurricane Sandy, and she has paid you
Zero.
Zilch. Okay, tell me what happened.
It's pretty simplistic. Hurricane Sandy happened about 3 weeks later. I worked with some of her family members, and I had fixed her father's hot water heater. I had fixed her brother's heat. Then I went to her house to fix hers, and I did all the repairs. And she agreed
for those
to pay.
3 weeks, had you been without heat?
Yes.
Who lives in the house?
At that time, nobody.
Well, once you got heat, who was living in the house?
Oh, yes, we were.
Who's we?
Me and my 3 children.
How old are your children?
7, 9, and 13.
Okay. And where had you been living for those 3 weeks waiting for heat to come?
We had to evacuate.
And went where?
Brooklyn, New York, at a friend's house.
At a friend's house,
Yes.
okay. So go ahead.
And I fixed the heat. She agreed to pay the bill. I traveled all over the city during the gas crisis, going from place to place. The lines were huge because everyone was trying to look for boiler parts. And it's not something that I do every day, of course. And I just repaired my own boilers because I had 9 feet of water in my house in Howard Beach. And she happens to have the identical unit that I had. And when I was there giving her temporary heat with a little heater that we had hooked up for them, and I said, I can fix this because I just fixed my own.
Right.
And
Is
so
this not what you do for a living?
I'm a contractor. I do construction and stuff all day long.
All right. And so let me see your bill. Did you two agree on a price beforehand?
Absolutely. I told her that I could fix her boiler with no problem for under $2,000, and she agreed. And I have a witness next to me.
Stand up, please. Who are you?
My name is Tom. I'm co-worker with him.
Okay. And were you present for a conversation about how much it would cost beforehand?
I was present, yes.
And what was the conversation?
They agreed that he would give her heat and hot water for less than $2,000. I think they agreed upon $1,950.
Okay. And so when you sent her the bill, what happened? You can say.
Well, as you can see, I gave you a copy of all the text messages, all the emails. In the beginning, you saved me, you rescued me. I'll give you money on Tuesday.
Right.
And then just was putting off. I know there was no banks open. The hurricane was horrific, and I was going through the same thing that she was going through. Everything that I own is underwater and gone also. And I was doing my best to help her, whatever I could do.
Right. Okay. What's going on?
First of all, there was no price agreed upon. When I asked him how much it was going to cost, he said it's going to be much less than it would cost to be replacing it. And somewhere between $600 and $900 was mentioned. Nothing about $2,000 ever. And I asked him if it was going to be a permanent fix. He said he didn't know, but in his own house where he had the same unit, he replaced whatever parts to make it work. And he had gotten years of use out of it following that.
Okay.
So I was under the impression that I would have at least a year or so.
Keith is a friend of my sister-in-law. When Hurricane Sandy came, I was evacuated. Keith was recommended to me to help get my boiler and hot water heater working. Did family members of yours get their boiler and hot water heater working through Keith?
My parents did, and theirs also needed to be replaced.
And did they pay him?
They did pay him.
When you say needed to be replaced, it ended up being replaced by Rapid Repair, right?
Because it stopped
Explain what Rapid Repair is.
Rapid Repairs was a city program to come in and help the people from Hurricane Sandy get emergency things they needed at that time, such as, yes.
Okay, so everybody was getting Rapid Repair, right? The opportunity to have a new boiler came in front of them, and who with connected brain cells wouldn't go, yep.
Initially that program was not in place, but when...
No, if it had been in place initially, I'm sure you would have done that. Yeah, I know. But instead, here's what you did. You hired a guy to fix your boiler and hot water heater because that was giving you heat and hot water and the ability to move back to your home. Now, you have no contract with him. You have nothing in writing with him. You have two people on that side saying they told you it'd be under $2,000, and it was. And I have you saying, well, I thought it would be a third of that. Do you have any proof that somebody told you it would be a third of that? Because typically your side would say, look, Judge, here's the estimate. And he's gone five times above
He didn't give me an estimate. He's not a licensed plumber. He's not a licensed...
Oh, he was good enough for you in the emergency, wasn't he? In fact, wait, I didn't read the sentence I actually wanted to read. There was a shortage of units around, and everyone selling them was raping everyone with their prices.
That's true.
Okay.
The invoice that was sent to me was weeks after, and I was shocked to see
I asked if the repairs would last. He said sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But it won't cost what it would cost to replace them. So I told him, give it a shot.
Right.
And then here you say, we never discuss prices. You never say $600.
No, but I'm sure that he did say $600 to $900.
Why did you say so in your answer to the complaint?
I think it's on the second page of that.
Okay. I was thinking it would be between $600 and $900 for a temporary fix. You never say he said it would be $600. That's different, right? Okay, so let me see the emails that you have back and forth. Do you have any evidence of what this repair should cost and that it's different?
The thing is with this...
Yes or no?
No.
What is your defense?
My defense is that his labor was 3 times the price of the parts.
Yeah.
And
that'll happen if labor is 3 times the price of the parts. That happens sometimes. The part is $100, but taking the engine apart costs a lot of money because that's a labor part. Right. How many days was he there?
1 day.
How many days were you there?
2 days. We worked until...
Stand up, please. How many days were you there?
2 days.
Okay. How many days were you standing in line not there to get the parts that were rare to come by because everybody's trying to do the same thing you're doing?
It's the middle of November. We had no gas in our cars. We were paying $10 a gallon in the street for gas. There was lines of 15 to 20 men in places that I don't even have all the bills there, Your Honor, but you can see there's hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth already. We traveled all over the city to find parts for her. And I was also finding parts for her father at the same time.
What were their bills like?
Identical to hers.
Okay, they all paid him with no problem?
The bills that are there.
Do they know that she's, like, will pay you $0 for getting her temporary heat?
No, well, their family's embarrassed by her.
I bet they are.
My
How's your family feel about this?
My family's boiler and water heater also broke, and they had to pay to have a new one installed as well.
Paid to have a new one installed or got rapid repair?
They got new ones paid for. They did not get them from the city. Not from the city. They bought their own.
So she's upset because she's saying labor should not be 3 times the cost of parts. Is she right?
No, she's not right.
Why?
Because sometimes it will take a little bit longer to install things or have things done than what the parts cost.
I agree with you. What do you think?
I agree too.
You agree?
I am agree too.
Okay, I have a feeling you're having a little trouble with me here. What do you think?
The labor supply in the marketplace after a hurricane may have demanded higher costs involved in finding replacement workers to fix the problem.
Actually, you know what? I think that's actually a great point. I never thought, that's really good, dude. Going inside the courtroom.
Have you had any complaints from any of the other people that she's saying are all complaining? Okay, because here's the thing, like I could understand if your defense was, hey, I paid him to fix it and it wasn't fixed. Your defense is not that. Your defense is we never agreed on a price. And the reason why is because you point blank say that he tells you, you know, it might work, it might not, it'll give you heat right now. So basically you entered into a contract with him for heat right now. That's what you entered into a contract with him for. And then you've paid him $0 for it. Stop and listen to me. I'm reading the tenor of your emails. Let's go over your emails. Are your emails, what? $1,950? That's not the tenor of your emails. Let's look at the tenor of your emails. Hi, got the revised bill. Thank you so much for coming and saving the day. Is this the best price? It seems like out of 1,900, almost 1,500 was labor. I know you guys worked hard, so I appreciate it. I just figured I would ask. And then you tell her, look, I really need this money. Can I pick it up today? Thanks. And her, I was totally not trying to insult you. Believe me, I totally appreciated your help. You came into my rescue and that was awesome. Please don't be insulted. I'm on a tight budget, that's all. I'll do my best to get you payment within the next few days. Thank you. Once again, I apologize if you took it the wrong way.
But after that,
But after that, what? Then you decided, I got a new one. Why should I pay him?
No,
because no. Do you understand that it hurts your case for me to see months of you saying, okay, let me just get the money, instead of, what are you, nuts? I never agreed to pay this. Lady, stop, okay? Just stop. Why are you asking for $1,000 for parts and $1,200 for labor for $2,200 for the bill? You know that you charge her $1,950. Why are you saying it's $2,200 now?
No, it's $1,950 was the bill that I gave her. I spent another $300 on an attorney. And also, I've been out without my money for parts for this loan.
Right, that's what we call prejudgment statutory interest, which I'm going to award you.
Thank you.
I'm also going to award you your filing fee because you had to pay money in order to bring this suit.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not going to award you attorney's fees because that's not part of the deal in a situation like this. But what did your attorney do?
They went and they filed a small claims court.
They filed a small claims court? Let me tell you, everybody out there within my voice, this is what small claims is about. You not having to go get an attorney because they're not here to represent you. They're, I guess maybe they would have been.
And the attorney also felt that it was beyond fair because from the prices that people were charging, they were charging $5,000 and $6,000 to do what I was doing, which I thought was disgusting.
I don't want to hear you.
And that's why I was.
Okay, I have no idea if what you're saying is accurate or not. I've been through hurricanes. We have some anti-gouging laws in Florida that you guys don't have. You guys maybe just, you're not prepared for this like we are because we see it over and over again. I have no idea if you're gouging or not. Most of the laws we have refer to selling supplies at these ridiculous prices. Home Depot selling a generator for $1,000 that now magically has become $3,000. That's the kind of thing that labor is a different animal. Labor goes for what the going rate is for labor at the time, because if everybody wants you, then yeah, your price is going to be more expensive because this is America and it's supply and demand. But I wholeheartedly believe, I'm not even sure that I know that you told her it's going to be under 2,000, but I know that at a minimum she didn't ask. I totally believe that you never told her it was going to be 6 because her own statement doesn't say that. She was hoping it would be 6. And I totally see that she was not outraged at your price because all of her emails to you are saying, yes, yes, I'll get you the money. And I think she's just trying to scam now, but making sure that you get 0 for saving her day. And I hate that. I hate that. $1,950 verdict for the plaintiff, plus prejudgment statutory interest from the day you sent her the bill, plus your court costs. That's my judgment. Pay the man.
So the defendant really took it on the chin in this one. What's your feeling coming out here at this
I think
point?
he took advantage of somebody at a time when he shouldn't have, and he got rewarded for it.
What about coming through for you when you needed it so badly?
He definitely did. He helped, but the prices were...
Seems like your perspective on the thing changed over time. You needed it so badly, you're so glad. And then when you thought about it for a while, you turned it into a price gouging situation.
After 3 weeks, it didn't work anymore, and then I had to replace it. So
why weren't you outraged right away about that price? That's a crazy price. Why didn't you express that right away?
I did. I asked him to please work with me on the price, and I didn't get the bill right away, so I didn't know how much it was going to be.
All right, this way. All right, so step on out here. What was it like during the aftermath of the hurricane?
It was horrible. I had 9 feet of water in my own home, and all my neighbors and everyone pulled together and helped me, and so I figured it was my duty to go out and help others. So, I mean, I just charged it for parts and a very small amount of labor compared to what I was paying in my own home.
Did you price gouge a little bit, or did you raise prices on people because of their desperate situations?
Well, if anybody on national television would see the prices that I'm charging was extremely reasonable compared to what they were charging. And it is true. Even myself, I received boilers from Rapid Repair from the city of New York, which was awesome. And she thought she could get away with it.
Harvey?
Okay, the solution for this lady would have been simple, that if you want to limit the cost of a job, put it in the contract. Simply put it in the contract. That will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by the Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
These are the plaintiffs, Christopher Rodriguez and Delilah Orama. Christopher says he and the defendant have been friends for over 12 years, and this is the last place he expected they'd be, in a courtroom. He loaned the guy money to keep him afloat during some turbulent times. He hasn't paid him back for 6 months, and he's got to do what he's got to do, and that's sue him for the $1,055 he's owed. This is the defendant, Robert DiGiorgio. He says he did in fact borrow money from the plaintiff, but the plaintiff owed him money from when they lived together, so he doesn't owe a dime. In fact, the plaintiff is the one who owes him. The plaintiff opened up a can of worms by filing this lawsuit, and he's gonna get his today, that's for sure. He's accused of failing a friend. The defendant is filed a countersuit for $850 for rent money owed.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket, the plaintiff says their good friend who had fallen on hard times repaid them by showing gratitude and stiffing them. But the defendant says the plaintiffs owed him money, so they're more than even. It's the case of with friends like him.
Thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Christopher Rodriguez and Delilah Orama, you are suing Robert DiGiorgio for $1,055, money that you say you loaned to him that he refuses to repay. You have a counterclaim against him for $850 because he owes you for rent from years ago and damages to a bedroom. Okay, what's going on?
How you doing, Your Honor? Basically what happened is I know Robert DiGiorgio for many years now, and in the year of 2012, he had moved down to Georgia. I guess things weren't working out for him over here. He had contacted me stating that he wanted to come down and visit. So I booked him a plane ticket to come down here and, spend some time with some friends or whatnot.
Up here, right?
Up here, yes.
To New York from Georgia, go ahead.
Correct. He had a great time, went back to Georgia and decided that he wanted to come back and just, pretty much left Georgia and without any plans. So I offered for him to stay with me for a little while until he gets back on his feet. This was in November.
Did you have an extra bedroom or is it going to be flopping on the couch?
Kind of flopping on the couch. He had 2 dogs with him as well. So,
what's wrong with you?
I was trying to do the right thing as a friend and, trying to accommodate him as best as I could.
Where do you live?
I live in an apartment in my hometown, Bayshore.
Okay. How long were you going to accommodate him?
It was supposed to be a short period of time. We really didn't discuss that.
Oh, yeah.
But
I want to discuss that before the dogs get comfortable. But anyway, go ahead. Who's the lady next to you?
This is my girlfriend.
And does she live there too?
Actually, we have a separate apartment now.
Okay, so go on.
So while he was about to stay with me, he decided to actually stay in his car because he had the dogs, didn't want to, I guess, inconvenience me. So he was looking for an apartment, which he found, and it was $1,000 a month. So he had asked me if he can borrow $1,000. Prior to him doing that, he had already asked me for $100, which I didn't have the whole 100 on me, so I gave him 55. I had whatever pretty much I had on me. So on December 5th, I gave Robert the $1,000 and I made a promissory note, which I have here. And
whose idea was the promissory note?
Me and my girlfriend's idea.
Oh, really? Because you gave her full credit in your complaint that it was her idea. Whose idea was it?
It was mine, yeah.
Yeah, why can't you give her credit? Give her credit. Give her credit. You're starting off on the wrong foot if you can't give her credit. Let me see the promissory note. What's going on?
Your Honor, Mr. Rodriguez, what he stated mostly is the truth. I did come back from Georgia. It wasn't for me. A little too slow for me. I lived up here my whole life. He did, in fact, extend an invitation for me to come stay with him. But as he said, I have 2 dogs, one of which is 120 pounds.
So the 3 of you stayed in a car?
Well, actually, I stayed with my sister. At night, though, I did stay in my car. The only reason being, it sounds weird, but I don't want to leave my dogs alone. They're like, my children. So
okay.
I was at work all day. I was doing construction. But the guy I was working with wasn't exactly the most reliable as far as pay. Telling me, we're working so many days. And 5 days, we wanted to work in 2 days. You know what I mean? So that's what had happened with that. I did find an apartment, actually, through my sister.
Okay, so did you borrow $1,000 from him?
Yes, I did.
And did you borrow $55 from him?
Yes.
And the reason you haven't paid him back is what?
Because, like I said, I wasn't working that much. I was just barely, enough to feed myself, pay my car insurance, feed my dogs and stuff like that.
Yeah, but it's been 6 months or 7 months. Have you paid him $20?
Yeah, well, I had spoke to him probably about January. I had let him know I was going, having some issues. I was supposed to actually get the money from a family member, and that fell through. That's the only reason actually I would have
What's your
borrowed it.
defense?
We had an apartment in 2009. I had lived there with my ex-girlfriend. She had moved out. And the place he was living with, which was his grandmother, they weren't really seeing eye to eye. So we decided, being that we've been friends for so long,
How long have you guys been friends?
About 12 years now. Yeah.
Okay, go
on.
on.
At least. So I had, said, come stay with me. So we had agreed that we would split the rent and whatever utilities, which are oil, cable, and electric, down the middle. And, that we would share the apartment. So that would be easier for both of us. And then June of 2009, he had moved in.
2009?
Yes.
Okay.
And then June of 2010, I was coming home from work and I seen that he was packing up his stuff and moving out. I wasn't aware that it was happening so abruptly. So.
But you didn't know he was moving out?
No, I mean, I was dating a girl at the time. There was a little bit of a tension in the house. We didn't really see eye to eye. You know
Who
what I mean?
didn't see eye to eye?
Him, my girlfriend, then that kind of gave a little conflict between us. So I thought it was just better for our friendship if, you know, we both decided either you move out or.
Well, then what do you mean
we go.
that you weren't expecting him to move out? You just explained that you thought it was better
But
for your friend.
I didn't know that it was going to happen then. I mean, so
Okay.
I got stuck with that rent.
With
and I
what
wasn't-
rent? Rent for the next month?
Yes.
Okay.
And there was damage to a door that had a hole in it. And
How did it have a hole in it?
he had gotten into a fight with his ex-girlfriend.
And who put the hole in there? The ex-girlfriend or him?
I was sleeping at the time, so I can't really say
Who put the hole in the door?
So how long can somebody stay at your house before it becomes an imposition?
I'd say a month.
Well, you're a very nice lady, I gotta say. What do you think, ma'am? Just give me a time.
3 months.
3 months? What do you think?
A week.
Okay, she's talking my language. Going inside the courtroom.
Your Honor, actually the damage was on his door, and that was prior to me moving in. When I left the room was immaculate.
Okay. Did he ever bring this up before today?
No.
Have you ever heard him say, hey, can you loan me $1,000, but 850 of it goes for the, whatever claim I have against you from 3 years ago that I apparently still am thinking about?
No.
Did you buy him an airline ticket to come up?
Yes, I did.
The rent thing from before never came up until now?
But Your Honor,
Is that your defense?
I did pay him back for the ticket, though.
If you want me to buy this defense, why isn't that defense in your promissory note? Why doesn't it say minus whatever that you owe me still from rent?
Well, we had actually had this conversation. I had told him what was going on.
I'm not talking about that anymore. I'm talking about your defense. Your defense is he owes me money because he stood me up for rent. Have you ever said that to him before, that he stood you up for rent 3 years ago?
No, because like I said, we helped each other out because we've been friends for so long.
And then if that's the case and that's what it was considered, why would you bring it up 3 years later when you're having financial difficulty instead of saying, yeah, I owe him the money?
Well, I do owe him the money. I'm not.
Well, then why did you counterclaim against him if you don't think he owes you that money?
Well, I feel if he lived there, he should owe me that money.
Okay, so that's your defense. So how is it that if you really feel that, you're not just saying this to get out of paying him. You're not just saying this to get out of paying him.
No, because I told
so
him
if you
I'm not
really
gonna
feel
do that.
this, why didn't it ever come up before now?
Because like I said before, I thought we were friends and we could work things out. I guess
Okay, I'm going to give that defense the same credence you've given it all this time, which is zip. Okay? $1,055, verdict for the plaintiff.
Thank you, Your Honor.
It's a pity. A friendship of all these years.
So after all these two guys have been through 12 years of friendship and all those years, everything you guys have been through, and you wind up here.
Yeah, I mean, things happen. I mean, I just hope that, we can continue our friendship. That means more to me than the money does.
Right. So do you intend to reach out to him and in that
absolutely.
sense?
Yeah, and I, hope he accepts and we can move forward.
All right. Good luck with that. Okay, head right down this way. Come on in here. Is the door still open for him to be the same friend he was with you before?
I'd have to think about it. You
heard him say, it's important.
He had to change a lot of his ways. I'm trying to stay away from, certain type of people. And, I was a really good friend to him. And, I feel like he kind of betrayed me a little bit.
Well, what changed?
Well, I moved up in life, and I feel like he kind of plateaued.
Harvey?
It's really funny. Everybody says, well, I've known somebody for a long time, I'll loan him money. The fact is, the longer you've known somebody, the more you should think about it before you actually loan the money. And when you do loan the money, make sure the terms of repayment are really specific. If you don't do that, you're going to screw up the friendship.